A member of the Senate Appropriations Committee and the Armed Services Committees, Oklahoma Senator Republican Mark Wayne Mullin. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
So, saw you in the hallway. You're making some phone calls there.
Yeah.
Where are you in this process of getting this bill passed?
We're moving forward. I want to mention something that Ron Johnson said. We call him Ron John.
Sure.
Very passionate guy. A guy that we have a lot of respect for. Super smart. But I want to push back on something about the bill, just not having time to read through the text. All we did here was staple pieces of paper together. All the language has been out for days because every committee reports the language. Once it gets a CBO score, Congressional Budget Office, it goes to the parliamentarian and goes through the bird bath as it's getting, bird rule, but we call it getting scrubbed. Every one of those committees, when they release it to the CBO, we also have access to read it. And then all we did last night was literally combine them and staple them. So I just want to make sure your listening audience knows every senator has had more than enough time to read it. Now, as far as where we're at with the process, we're moving. We're making a lot of progress on this. We've been talking about this since September. We've had 51, today will be 52 complete Senate meetings on this, a meeting with all Republicans. We've had individual breakout groups in each one of the committees, I would say hundreds of them. We've all had time to negotiate what we want on the bill. And at the end of the day, your idea may be a great idea, but you have to deliver 51 votes. 49 doesn't get you there. 51 is the key number to pass. So it's up to you with your idea to bring your idea with the votes. If you can do that, then we've got to get a bill that can pass. If you don't, then we got to make a decision. Because when this bill comes to the floor, especially on final passage, you have two choices. One, you're going to stick with Obama-era policies. I say Obama, I guess I should say Biden-era policies, or two, we're going to get away from that era and move towards Trump policies. And those are really your choices. So I believe what happens here is we get the motion to proceed this evening. It goes into 20-hour debate. After the 20 hours of debate, we can proceed to the Voterama. The Voterama there's no time limit on that. What that means is anybody can put any amendment what they want until you literally can't stay awake anymore.
Yeah.
These can last, most of the time they don't last about 18 hours, but these can last 30 some hours they want to, literally until you can't stay awake anymore. And then we'll pass one big beautiful bill. The only thing that's in between that keeps us from moving any faster than that would be if the Democrats use a privileged motion to require the clerk to read the entire bill on the floor, and a bill like this could take about 12 and a half hours to read.
Mm-hmm. So you look at all this and you heard what Senator Johnson had to say. Even President Trump acknowledged, hey, you don't have to get it to me by July 4th, but deadlines are funny things on Capitol Hill, aren't they?
You've been around here for 18 years. I've been here for about 13. Yeah. Without a deadline, nothing will get done. So if we move the deadline to July 7th or you move the deadline until August 2nd, doesn't make any difference. You're still going to have this same exact conversation. You and I will have this same exact conversation right up to the deadline. It's kind of the way Congress works. It's kind of chaotic because everybody wants to make the bill better. Ron wants to make the bill better. Rand wants to make the bill better. Mike Lee, Susan Collins.
But you got to make the hard choices
at
some point, right?
Yes. But at some point, you've got to put the votes on the floor. Mm-hmm. You got to get a bill that can pass. And then we got to make a decision because, like I said, it's A or B. Stay with Biden policies or move into Trump-era policies. I think Trump's policies are much better.
Is he going to have to call in from the White House, do you think? And do you think ultimately senators like Ron Johnson are going to be in that yes column?
I can't speak for what Ron Johnson decides to finally do. I will say the president has been completely engaged in this process the whole time. I was on the phone with the president not last night, not before last, at 10:40, which is actually pretty early because a lot of times when you talk to the president, it could be at 1 o'clock in the morning. Don't know when this guy sleeps, but he's fully engaged. He said he had over 1,000 calls that day dealing on this subject. Mind you, what all he's been dealing with this week. So that tells you how much he's fully engaged in this. Yesterday, we had Speaker Johnson and Secretary Bassett in the conference for lunch as we were talking through the process. So not only is the White House fully engaged, the House of Representatives is fully engaged, and the Senate, and there's no daylight between it. We're all trying to get a bill that can pass, and we're dealing with a lot of personalities that have a lot of great ideas, but we got to get 51 on the Senate floor, and we got to get whatever the magic number is. We always say 218, but we saw the last time it passed was 215.
And do you think, though, I mean, House members, sometimes they take something from the Senate in the situation where here's the bill, you got to pass it or nothing. I mean, is that something that the House is going to be able to swallow?
Well, I would say that this is what this looks like. This is how a lot of times you hear people say this is what sausage making looks like. Well, this is what negotiation looks like. The House sent us a really good framework of a bill. I mean, a great bill, really. And we've only changed probably 15% of it. And so 85% of the bill that they sent us is fully intact. Because the reason why? They were working with the Senate when they were making their bill. So Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, and the White House was fully engaged even on the House side. So we're way down that track. And the 15% that we changed, a big chunk of that came from the parliamentarian because the House doesn't have to comply with the Byrd rule. We do. And for your listening audience that says, what is the heck is this stupid Byrd rule? Well, this allows us to do reconciliation. There's an appropriation process that we should be doing right now, but we'll be getting on that as soon as this is done. That deals with discretionary spending. The reconciliation is mandatory spending. You can only get mandatory spending, which is Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, but we can't touch Social Security, so we got to do just Medicare, Medicaid. We're not doing Medicaid, so this just gets us, or Medicare, this means we're only doing Medicaid. And the window is narrow, but since the window is narrow, and you can deal with taxes, by the way, but that allows us to have a simple majority of 51 votes instead of 60 on most appropriation bills.
Can't pass without it, basically.
Yeah, you can't pass without that. So we're right there. I mean, and I really do think we're going to deliver this on time, and the House will deliver it on time, and it'll be on the President's desk to celebrate our 249th birthday, going on our 250th year.
Plenty ongoing right now. Senator Mullin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.